Hey everyone, you're listening and watching RASHKIN Report, and I'm your host, Yuri Rashkin, and this is a Ukrainian flag that was drawn on my head by my 8-year-old daughter, Karina. So there you go. And I'm very excited to be joined by, first of all, Artemy Troitsky. Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Rashkin. Glad to be here. Well, of course, your forehead looks much better, but I've also tried my best to put on some Ukrainian touch. So this is yellow jacket, and this is a light blue T-shirt. Well, that's the best I could do.
Thank you. And Mr. Troitsky is, rock historians, rock philosopher, and Artemy has been at the beginning, the birth of Russian rock, and has seen Russian rock music since its inception, not that long ago, really.
80s. We're going to talk about music, that's,
right,
that's
right. No, but you know what? Even though Artemy is not in Russia, thank goodness, I want to talk a little bit about how this war is being, this Russian invasion of Ukraine is being seen in Russia, because that is a very important perspective for me, because I am originally from Russia. I lived in the United States for over 30 years, and a lot of our audience is in Ukraine. So all of a sudden, this triangle is coming together. But the people in Russia, I mean, on one hand, they are not excited about the 2000, they were excited about 2014 annexation of Crimea. That was like a big boost for Putin's ratings. This time, it appears he has miscalculated several things, including how his people are going to perceive this. But how do you view response of Russian people to this tragedy, really, for Russia? Do you feel that they are acting appropriately? Do you feel that this is insufficient? Is this more than they can do? How do you understand the Russian reaction, please?
Well, I think that on one hand, there's absolutely no celebrations of the invasion to Ukraine. It's not like, we are going to a war. It will be a victorious war. We're going to free the people of Ukraine and so on. All this rubbish, it really doesn't work at all. Also, a lot of Russian celebrities, much more than before, like in 2014 and 2008 with Georgia. Much more of them have protested, openly protested. Some did it in a very explicit way. They've recorded videos, speeches, and appeals to the Russian government and Putin and so on. Some done it in a more muted way, like just posing with a poster saying no to war, or signing letters of protest along with hundreds and sometimes even thousands other people's. There's been such letters signed by cultural celebrities, teachers, scientists, painters, people from NGOs and charity organizations and so on. So there's a massive kind of elite protest, and very few of public persons in Russia have openly supported this thing. I mean, there's one pop singer named Nikolai Baskov and one actor named Marat Basharov, and I can't even name anybody else who would be saying good things and praising Putin for the war. Secondly, there's been anti-war manifestations in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Ekaterinburg, Novosibirsk, well, actually all the big cities. And a lot of people, more than 2,000 people have been detained by police at these anti-war rallies in the past couple of days. But of course, you know, these people's movement could have been much stronger. Like my wife and younger kids are in Tallinn in Estonia right now. And today there was a huge rally at the Freedom Square, Vabaduse Valjak, in Tallinn. And well, judging by the photos I've seen, there's been maybe between 10 and 15,000 people at this meeting. And this was by far the biggest crowd I've ever seen in Estonia. Of course, besides you know, big pop concerts and festivals, but you know, this was really impressive. What I've seen in Moscow, of course, was less massive, but you know, I can't blame the Russians for not doing so, because unlike in other countries where the peaceful rallies are rather supported by the police force, in Russia, of course, the police, they behave in the nastiest way possible. They beat up the demonstrators, they arrest them, they keep them in custody for many hours. Sometimes they stay there overnight. So, you know, the reaction
right now
is very cruel. Yes.
Yeah, it's the punishments for people are very widely spread. 15 days in jail, in prison, in jail is like easy to get these days in Russia, and that's just the beginning, because then you build up a record and so on. Does that mean that Russian people bear no responsibility?
Well, of course, some Russian people do bear the responsibility, because I'm afraid that still the protesters are, well, I wouldn't say a tiny minority, but they are definitely a minority part of the Russian population. I think the biggest segment of Russian population are simply people who don't care. I mean, you know, they are busy with their survival. The economic situation in Russia is bad. Life is difficult. Prices are rising. Living standards are decaying. So most Russians, they just live a very kind of basic life. They don't care about what's going on in the big world, and they just try to survive, and this is the majority. But indeed, there's also a part of Russian population, the people, mostly old, elderly people, who are effectively brainwashed by the Kremlin propaganda, and there's a lot of furious babushkas who call themselves Putin's team and so on, and there's also some kind of neo-fascist, neo-Nazi organizations, far right-wing, who are also supporting all kinds of these imperialist moves by Putin. But I wouldn't say that this is a big part of the Russian society, but they may be like 10–15% of the population, and these people are definitely bearing the responsibility. I wouldn't blame these poor people. Yes, well, of course, it might be said that their timid, their kind of slavish behavior helps Putin to do whatever he wants. And also, these people are usually voting for Putin simply because they don't know who else to vote for. But you know, I sympathize with these poor guys. I mean, I can't blame them because life in Russia, especially in provincial Russia, is truly, truly awful.
Artemy, the last question that I want to get your take on, and thank you so much for your time and doing this in English. I think it's just service to everybody that is listening and watching. So please share this video, please like it. Artemy, what do you think Putin is going to do? How is he going to respond to the events? Because the events on the ground are not matching his expectations and hopes. Does it mean that he's more likely to say, oops, I made a bad and turn around and run? Is he then, or the other version is to continue as he is, or version C3, whatever, to escalate and to go to a next level of aggression, whatever that means to him? How do you think that this, you know, obviously you're not his psychiatrist, but what do you anticipate Putin to do at this point?
Okay, well, I must admit that I didn't believe that Putin will invade Ukraine. And I even wrote a couple of texts about it, saying that, first of all, Putin is a coward. And he always started wars or any kind of action being absolutely sure that he will win. You know, he always fought with those who are much weaker than him or than Russia. And this was the case with Georgia in 2008, and this was also the case with Crimea in 2014. I mean, you know, he has stolen the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine because Ukraine at that time was totally preoccupied with their own revolution, and there was virtually no power, no governing in the country. So he just was an opportunist, and he picked up, you know, this nice piece of land. And this is how Putin always acted before. But this time is he has either totally miscalculated the situation, or he suddenly became more courageous than he used to be. And a lot of people, including myself, by the way, consider this also an act of insanity. Putin he became slightly mad, let's put it this way, because what he's doing is truly irrational, or he's given a very, very false information. But it doesn't make him any less dangerous. And my prediction is, first, of course, Ukraine will successfully stand against Russia, and they will win, and Ukraine will be free. Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine, Героям Slava, glory to the heroes. And Putin will be defeated. He will be defeated completely on all fronts, on the Ukrainian front, on the European and global front, because he really became a pariah. He became a pariah politician who will never be handshaken with anybody, maybe with Chinese, but I don't even this. And Russia will become a bona fide full-time pariah state, and economically and financially it will be lying in ruins. So it will be awful. It will be an absolute defeat, like Germany in 1945, almost. And this, on one hand, this is like good news. But the bad news is that Russia is a nuclear power, and Putin has access to the infamous red button. And this makes the whole situation truly dangerous. Considering that Putin is a madman, an unpredictable and totally uncontrollable person, we may suggest that he can try, to do something awful. I mean, start a nuclear war or something. I hope, of course, that he will be stopped either by himself, because, it will be absolutely suicidal for him, or by people from his close circle. I hope that this will not happen, but I think that for the first time, since 1945, we are that close to nuclear nightmare.
Some strong words. Artemy Troitsky, thank you so much for joining us on RASHKIN Report. I made an appearance yesterday on a live TV station.
Yes, let me just
go ahead.
Just add one little thing. Well, especially considering that we are talking to partly American audience, I think that Putin should be treated exactly like Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden. He should follow this path, period. Yeah.
No argument here. Yes, I agree. So I was on a TV station in Kiev, and I actually felt bad because usually I feel good because I can speak Russian well. So this is great. I can explain in good Russian what's going on. And I felt embarrassed to be speaking Russian yesterday because that was not a good day on the Ukrainian TV to speak Russian. I think I would have preferred to speak English and then having it be translated or something interpreted. But we are going to continue our conversation with Artemy in Russian next, because as was said online, people deserve to hear truth. So we're going to continue, and thank you so much to everybody who listened. And thanks to everyone who supports RASHKIN Report.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Artemy.
All the best.
All the best. Yes.
Stay well.
Slava Ukraini. Yes. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who supports RASHKIN Report on Patreon, because you're helping others, and therefore you're my heroes. Slava Ukraini.